Back in August of last year when I first started this project, I mentioned how development would be split between 4 stages. Since then, development has entirely been focused on phase 1, which has been building the coding framework and foundations for my FPS game set during the Spanish-American War of 1898. Well, finally we're at a point where we're almost ready to move on to the next phase, where we can begin creating assets and turning our ugly-looking prototype into something more like an actual game. In this video, we'll finish up phase 1 by implementing troop controls and the AI needed for it. So first I made a few changes to the UI, adding a working minimap and then later adding some more displays for things like ammo counters. As you can see, I have already imported these placeholder icons to symbolize what troop commands can be given as well as what troop command has already been instructed to this unit. Let me explain how this all works. The battlefield comprises of troops and/or units of soldiers led by a commanding officer who commands on horseback. Each unit is color-coded and indicated by this circle here. If a player selects to play as a commanding officer, they are given the ability to give these 4 commands: regroup, scatter, charge, and defend. Regroup simply makes all these soldiers move in formation around the commanding officer and then transition to defensive attacks. Scatter is basically what the AI has been doing up until this point of development, randomly walking around, searching for an enemy, and fighting them off. Charge is a lot like a regroup, but the soldiers go to the nearest battle objective. These objectives are currently placeholders, but later on they may take the form of an enemy flag, forts, or other important places. Lastly, the defend command freezes the movement of soldiers and makes them attack from their current position. If this command is executed correctly, these soldiers can easily decimate another unit of soldiers in seconds. Assigned commands are shown above the minimap to show what instructions the soldiers within the unit are following. If a player plays as a typical soldier, they do not need to follow these commands, but the information is still there for reference. Of course, regular soldiers cannot give any commands, because that just wouldn't make any sense. To create the AI for the soldiers, I expanded the list of states from my state machine code, which you may remember me making back in part 2. The code for this is really not too interesting, so here it is. And it's gone. Then I had to make the AI for the commanding officer, since he would need to give commands on his own. Now I know there are better ways of tackling this issue, but I'm not smart at implementing self-thinking AI. Or even context-sensitive AI for that matter. So here's my solution. Feed the commanding officer a unique list of commands. He executes them in order, pausing through the list if he immediately loses control to the player, and then resuming afterwards. And once the list has been completed, the entire unit scatters, effectively disbanding the unit. The given commands are slight alterations of the already created commands, with this additional one to solely move the commander during a set period of time. There's also room for overriding this list, like if the commander were to die or if the overall health of the unit would be too low, but I've left this part blank for the time being. In fact, a lot of this is still unfinished, but the good news is that it works. What the f? Okay, now it works. And there you have it, AI-controlled troops. This will hopefully add much more dynamic gameplay and make players feel more in control of winning the battle instead of being at the whim of the friendly AI. And that also marks the end of phase 1. From here on out, we'll be mostly focusing on turning this ugly duckling of a game into something actually nice to look at. There are still lots of coding features to implement, AI improvements to be added, and possibly even more features, not to mention a complete cleanup of all of the bugs and just messy code I currently have. But that shouldn't be too much of a problem for now. Anyways, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe for future game development videos. And until next time, thanks for watching.